from Carinati!
And my stockings!
And your stockings. Maud's the midwife on standby.
Did you
just
see
in
that?
case. I know. Well,
No
you
expense
have to be
spared.
careful. I know. Take her everywhere you go. What a weekend. What a quarter-final. Some incredible dancing and quite a tense dance-off. First of all, let's discuss illegal lifts. Now, would you agree with Len that couples should be penalised for including illegal lifts at this point in the competition? You have said this before, haven't you?
Yes, finally, they've mentioned it. Illegal lifts, we don't want them in the show. Now, I've travelled all over the world, I've seen dance shows all over the world, and sometimes lifts are what we call, it can be a cheap trick, creates an effect, but it doesn't have quality. The more you restrict our professionals, the more incredible the work that they can give to us. Shouldn't be lifts unless it's a Charleston, a salsa, Argentine tango, because we want to save it for the show dance. That's when your big lifts come in, yes.
OK, all right. Pixie and Trent, let's talk about them. Everyone's so shocked about Pixie leaving on Sunday. Did you agree with the decision of saving Simon and Christina? What did you
You're cornering me, aren't you? Well, what I think, first of all, I wouldn't have had her down in the bottom two.
Yeah.
I just think she worked so hard with that number. But that said, remember that they're judging what they see at that moment. And I think Len was really specific with what he was saying. What he saw when they did the dance-off,
yeah,
she improved incredibly. But by now, we're looking at an entire package. And if I had to look at it, we're talking really, really close here. I would probably have sided more with Len.
Yes, you would have done.
I would have gone there. It was the
Simon
entire package for me.
Yeah.
It was the performance, the music, and even they were equal in their weaknesses and their strengths with the technique. And I just think, you know, even her performance and her technique was stronger the second time round. But she shouldn't have been there in the first place. But when you put them up against each other, somebody had to go.
Simon and Christina, let's talk about them. And well done to them for going through. I'm so happy to see them go into the semi-finals. Bruno said it was very risky choreography to go from such fast sections to classic foxtrot. Do you think he handled it quite well?
This was a spot-on American smooth for me. It was brilliant. Having just come back from America not long ago, seeing the American smooths being danced out there, it is actually danced at a really high pace, and it goes from one explosion into closed hold to another explosion. But really, we were nitpicking again, weren't we? But the timing changes were brilliant with him, and I love them. But what I've got here, we've got a slow-mo because he got picked up on his top line. I believe it was Craig again.
Craig.
Now, if we can just see it as it's going through there. There's a slight buckling. Now, anything going that fast, you're potentially gonna get a little bit of buckling at this level. We've normally got, even our top people would be buckling, but I thought, let's continue on here because he goes into this beautiful reverse wave, and that top line for me is perfect. You can see the lovely line across his back, the lovely shoulders, and that's one of our hardest steps that we do in the foxtrot, technically. So we not only took that on, he had the fast choreography changes, and he had a beautiful top line. A little quiver in it.
But apart from that, incredible. You would have ignored her.
Yes,
she would have ignored that. Well done, Simon. Frankie and Kevin, now they ended up at the bottom of the leaderboard with their salsa. Did you agree with Len that it was a bit rough around the edges, or did you agree with Kev, who said he likes it a bit rough around the edges?
Nothing like having a bit of roughness, is there? But in this, it needed a lot more roughness. Yeah. It's a salsa.
It's a salsa, come on.
It needed to really let go. And again, we picked up on this a couple of weeks ago, and I've slowed this down. Too much preparation into the lifts. And then here it goes. Right, I'm doing my lift, and then I've got to control it, and I've got to get into... There was no... Wow, look what I've done. So when we do lifts, you want to have a great entry and then a finale. So almost like an elevation of the head.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's not right. My next step's coming. So I think throughout the entire series, we've got to remember the incredible performances that they have brought us. And those will take her through and through every dance. She is genius. I just want her to sell it.
Sell it. Sell it more, Frank.
Sell.
OK, Jake and Jeanette, the judges all praised their Charleston. Bruno Bruno loved the performance level that Jake is coming up with, and Darcy loved the imaginative lifts, which were epic. What was the highlight for you of this performance?
This probably sounds too casual, but the entire number was the highlight for me. But one thing we talk about in our world is there's not many people that can actually do comedy. Because this song choice alone gives that quirky feel to it, plus the Charleston and the steps. But this piece that I've chosen here, I just goes to show how brilliant they are. Not only the faces, but look at the complex arms, the complex feet, the changing, the relationship, the fast movements of the choreography, and he's even leading that as well. So he is still going, and look at that to finish. I mean, that's incredible. This entire number was really the pure genius of comedy, which is really hard to pull off, and you were just pulled into their performance, and that is time and time again what wins for these two. They're still creeping through with the technique, improving it every week, but these two are a unit. They're just unstoppable. I love them both. Brilliant.
It was epic. Mark and Karen, Craig said that Mark is now beginning to look like a dancer. What would you say specifically has he managed to master now that makes you go, come on, Mark, this is great?
Mark the master. He's fallen in love with movement. All the M's there, my goodness me. When I look back, way back at the beginning, it was a bit rough. The frame wasn't right. They were bumping, and there was calculation going on all the time. I love this section that I found here. It's seamless. He goes into this driving across the dance floor. She naturally just turns under the arm. We've got double turns now into a beautiful line and straight back up into hold. What I felt this week is he's not afraid of the music or afraid of the choreography anymore. It seems as though he was actually living that moment. Once you live it, it's like when you're trying to sell something. If you believe it, you can sell it even better. And that's what he did for me this week. Beautiful.
Well done, Mark. Carolina Pasha, top of the leaderboard. Bruno said the lifts were the best that we've seen all series. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The word seamless. It just goes straight from one moment up to the next, the legs up, seamless. It's like singing a song. You wouldn't want them to cough halfway through it. Because that makes And this is what we've had in past lifts. This one that I've got just here is a beautiful swing around. Round she goes into the pickup. She's in character as well. And from nowhere, she's elevated. Absolutely stunning.
Stunning indeed. We don't get to see the Argentine tango very often in the series. What is so tricky about it? Why don't we see it in week one?
It's the relationship between the couple. The man has to have total dominance over the woman. She has to give herself up and listen to everything that he says. Talking about listening, now we've never done this before, but it's really special to hear what sometimes goes on between a partnership, and this is pure teamwork. So if everyone's quiet at home, listen to this at the end.
Keep together. Don't know anything you find. Everybody's standing up.
Did you hear that? Yes, I love it. She says sorry, and he says, don't show anything, you'll be fine. That is teamwork at the highest level. She walked across, I didn't say anything. There were quite a few mistakes in there, but she sold it well. And he said, don't show anything, don't tell him.
It's so true. It is. It's like the end of EastEnders, isn't it? Like, boom, boom, boom.
But we found it. And here on It Takes Two.
So well done, darling. I thought that was epic, though, and so deserving of those scores. Lovely to see you. One last turn next week. Karen, fingers crossed, unless you might have the baby
and legs
before
crossed.
And legs crossed, if you don't mind. Karen Hartley, everyone! Time now to say goodbye to Jamie and Maddie in their final